I'm 105 years old, and I've been cooking longer than most of y'all been alive. When people see that number, they don't see the years, they see a headline. They ask me what I eat like I'm some kind of walking recipe book. But I wasn't trying to live this long. I was just trying to make it through Mississippi in 1928 without losing my daddy to a rope or my brothers to a chain gang. I was born in 1920, down where the cotton fields stretched so wide they swallowed the horizon. Jim Crow wasn't something we studied. It was something we obeyed if we wanted to wake up the next morning. Colored-only signs, back doors, stepping off sidewalks. You learned early how small the world expected you to be. And you learned early how to feed people with almost nothing. That's where these 7 foods come in. Not because they're magical, because they were steady. First thing was oatmeal, plain oats, boiled in water. Maybe a splash of canned milk if we had it. My mama would stand at that stove before daylight, stirring that pot slow, saying, "This'll hold you." And it did. When you picking cotton at 12 years old, you need something that sits in your stomach and don't argue with you. Second was greens, collards mostly, mustard sometimes. We grew them ourselves. Wasn't about trend. It was about access. White grocery store down the road didn't treat us like customers, so we planted what we could. We cooked those greens down with onion and a little fat back when times were good. And that pot liquor, Lord, Mama made sure we drank it. Said that's where the strength lived. Turns out she was right. Third was beans. Beans stretch. Beans forgive. Beans don't judge how poor you are. Red beans, black-eyed peas, butter beans, soaked overnight, simmered all day, served with rice or cornbread. During the Depression, beans kept whole black neighborhoods breathing. Fourth was cornbread. Not that sweet cake folks call cornbread now. I mean the kind you bake in a hot cast iron skillet. Crispy edges, no sugar, just cornmeal, water, maybe a little buttermilk if you're lucky. We crumbled it in milk at night when there wasn't much else. Fifth was sweet potatoes, pulled from dirt we worked ourselves, roasted in ashes sometimes. No marshmallows, just sweet earth and survival. They filled you up and lasted through winter. Sixth was cabbage, cheap, durable, could feed a crowd. When you got 6 mouths and 1 paycheck, if you even had a paycheck, cabbage helped you make it to Friday. Seventh was water, plain water from a pump that groaned every time you worked it. We didn't grow up with soda on the table. Sugar was precious. Water was what kept you alive. Now hear me clear. Plenty of women ate just like I did and still didn't make it to 60. My older sister died at 49. Wore herself out cleaning white folks' houses and never seeing a doctor until it was too late. Longevity ain't a promise. It's a mystery. When I was 23, I married a man who worked railroad tracks. Hard-working, quiet, carried anger in his jaw, but never let it spill at home. We left Mississippi in 1947, joined that wave they now call the Great Migration. Back then we just said, we going north. Chicago felt loud and cold and suspicious, no colored signs on water fountains, but landlords still found ways to say no. Red lines on maps made sure we stayed where they wanted us. I worked as a domestic at first, cleaned houses bigger than any church I'd ever seen, polished silver that wasn't mine, cooked meals I couldn't afford to taste. I'd come home tired in my bones and still cook beans and greens for my own family. That's what women did. Nobody asked if we were tired. I had 4 children, 4, and every one of them knew the smell of cabbage cooking meant Mama was making something out of nothing again. I packed oatmeal into jars for early shifts, wrapped cornbread in cloth for school lunches. I fed everybody, but I didn't always feed myself, not the inside part. See, being a black woman in those days meant you had to be strong enough for everybody else. You don't cry long, you don't complain, you don't break down in front of your babies. Police lights flash behind your husband. You swallow that fear so your children don't taste it. White woman talks down to you while you're scrubbing her floor. You swallow that too. Swallow enough over decades, it settles somewhere in your chest. They didn't call it stress back then, they just called it life. I watched the civil rights movement from a tiny kitchen radio while stirring pots, heard Dr. King speak hope into the air, cried when he was taken from us. Some doors opened. My children sat in classrooms I couldn't have entered. My daughters applied for jobs I could only dream about. But progress don't erase scars, it just layers over them. By the time I hit 70, my body had slowed, but my hands still remembered how to cook for a crowd. My husband passed at 74. Heart finally gave out. After that, the house got quiet in a way I wasn't prepared for. Cooking for one don't feel the same. You measure less. You season less. You talk less. Loneliness ain't fixed by cabbage or cornbread. It creeps in slow, one friend after another gone. Church pews emptier every year. Young folks too busy to sit long. You start to feel like furniture, useful once. Now just present. I outlived one of my sons. That's a pain that don't soften with time. No food protects you from burying your child. When people come interview me now, cameras and bright smiles, asking what I ate to live this long, I tell them the list. Oatmeal, greens, beans, cornbread, sweet potatoes, cabbage, water. They nod like they found gold, but the truth is bigger. We didn't eat fancy because we couldn't. We ate simple because we had to. Those foods were steady. They didn't spike and crash us. They came from the ground or the market cheap. They didn't require money we didn't have. But what kept me here to 105 wasn't just what was on my plate. It was routine, faith, community, and a stubborn refusal to quit. I went to church even when my feet hurt, sang gospel until my voice cracked, sat on porches with neighbors and talked through trouble instead of letting it fester alone. Still, there are things I can't fix. I can't go back and rest more when my body begged me to. Can't take back the times I told my daughters, be strong, instead of telling them it's okay to cry. Can't erase the fear I passed down about police and employers and walking into white spaces. Generational trauma, that's what they call it now. We just called it preparing you for the world, but preparation can feel like inheritance of worry. At 105, you start thinking about what you're leaving behind. My recipes? Sure. But more than that, I hope I leave behind permission. Permission for my great-granddaughters to live softer than I did, to eat greens because they love them, not because that's all they got, to drink water because it's healthy, not because sugar costs too much, to sit at the table and laugh without glancing at the door. I survived segregation. I survived being paid half of what I was worth. I survived raising children in neighborhoods banks didn't believe in. I survived burying friends and siblings and my own baby. That's what 105 really means. It means endurance. Some days it feels like blessing. Some days it feels like I just outlasted everybody. When I wake up now, I move slow, knees stiff, memory sometimes foggy, but I still make oatmeal most mornings. Still boil a little cabbage or greens when I can. Not because I think it's magic, because it ties me to my mama in that Mississippi kitchen, stirring a pot before sunrise, refusing to let us starve, in body or in spirit. If you listening to me, don't turn my life into a trend. Don't reduce it to a grocery list. Take from it what's steady. Eat food that don't fight your body. Drink water. Sit down with your people. And don't swallow every hurt like I did. Strength is good, but softness has its place too. I don't have many years left. Maybe not even many months. At 105, you don't plan long vacations. You plan quiet mornings. I sit by my window. Watch light move across the floor. Think about cotton fields and city streets and babies now grown with gray in their hair. I lived through a century that tried to shrink me, and I'm still here, tired, grateful, ready when it's time. That's all.